Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story is a story that's been going on for some time now. It has a new update to it. So as always, if you want to skip certain parts of the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's from Throwaway Sister Wed, who says, "Am I the arsehole here for telling my parents they deserve to be kicked out of my sister's wedding?" The original post came in May 15th, 2025. This is a throwaway, as my brother is on Reddit and I don't want him knowing my real account name. So my 37 female brother Mike, 35 male, is a knob. Always has and always will be. He's been babied to the point of uselessness by our mum and dad, and that's made him an entitled slob. When he was younger, he showed promise playing rugby, which my mum and dad believe he was going to be a superstar. The problem was though that he never had the work ethic to fully fulfill his potential. However, this meant that he was the golden boy of the family and he could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. He was a bully at school, which they brushed off as other kids making up lies, but he was an even bigger bully at home to our younger sister Kelly, 31 female. He would constantly prank her, which basically meant he would do anything he could to embarrass her, including things like pulling her dress up in front of the whole family at a wedding when she was 15. My mum and dad just said it was siblings being siblings, but the rest of the family were mortified by his behavior. I did try and stick up for my sister, and it worked to a certain extent. But after I went away to uni, there wasn't much I could do, as mum and dad just don't listen to anyone. It got so bad that when she was 18, my sister gave up going to her dream university, St Andrews, and instead moved to London to go to the Imperial College London. This was a huge shock to all of us, as she'd been talking about St Andrews since she started high school at 11. When I asked why, she said that St Andrews was too close to home and she'd be expected to go home more often. But if she went to London, she would only have to go home for Christmas. This broke my heart. After she left, she did exactly that. The only time she was home was Christmas and when I got married. This really annoyed mum and dad, as they said she was abandoning the family. I kept my mouth shut and just let them whine occasionally, as I didn't want an argument. After graduating from uni, my parents expected her to move back home, but she didn't. She got a job working in southern England and stayed down there. We are from Scotland for reference. 6 years ago, Kelly met a great guy, Jake, 30 male. The day she met him, she called me gushing about him, and I've honestly never heard her speak about anyone the way she does him. I've met him several times when I've gone down to visit Kelly, and he's great. Good looking, funny, great job, his family are lovely, and most importantly, he treats Kelly like she hung the moon. It's very cute. After she met him, she cut down how much she came home even more, as she spent the first Christmas with his family, and then the pandemic happened, so she ended up not coming home for 3 years. Her first Christmas home, Mike started his usual bullshit, trying to be their center of attention. When it didn't work out as well as he wanted, as most of the family were more interested in getting to know Jake, he tried to prank Kelly. He got a big bowl of water and was going to pour it over her. Jake saw what was happening and stepped in front of Kelly, telling Mike not to even think about it. Side note, Jake is 6'3" and has been doing martial arts since he was 4, so he can be very intimidating when needed. Mum and dad tried to play it off as a harmless prank, but Jake was having none of it. Mike started whining about it just being a prank, and Jake told him that if he pranked Kelly one more time, he would prank Jake by putting his foot up his ass and his fist down his throat. Kelly and Jake left about an hour later, but after that, Mike, Mum and Dad all had an issue with Jake. Kelly hasn't been back home since. That leads us to now. Kelly and Jake are getting married. They sent out invites in February for August. However, they didn't invite Mike. Mum and Dad are obviously incensed by this and had a huge argument with Kelly. They threatened not to go, and Kelly just said no problem, she would get Granddad to walk her down the aisle. I went around to their house on Saturday with my kids. Immediately, my mum started complaining about Kelly and the wedding. I sat and listened for a while before I'd had enough. I asked her, what did she actually expect? Her and Dad have allowed Mike to be the golden child and get away with everything. Because of that, he can't keep a relationship due to him thinking everyone should do everything for him. He can't hold down a job because every job is beneath him, and he's still living at home with zero prospects in life. The man-child is a bully who I don't trust to be around my children unsupervised. He bullied Kelly for most of her teen years, and her only escape was to move over 400 miles away and never come home. My mum got very quiet, then asked me to leave. A few hours later, my dad called going mad because I'd upset my mum and was taking the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of my parents who gave me everything. This started a huge argument between me and him, where I told him he'd been a crap dad to Kelly and he didn't deserve to walk her down the aisle. I've just had enough, but now I've got extended family members telling me I've gone too far as my mum is barely speaking to anyone and keeps crying. My granddad said it was about time I told them off, but my grandma is upset by all the arguing. So am I the arsehole here for telling my parents that they sucked as parents and deserved to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? And as we can see, this is all consequences of their own actions basically. They've claimed they've been doing nothing wrong this whole time, making excuses all along the way, golden child situation. And like we often see in golden child situations at 18, Kelly just decided, fuck this shit, I've had enough. Moved as far away as possible while still getting her education, and is now absolutely thriving. And she doesn't see these people as her family anymore. And good on Jake for sticking up for Kelly in these situations. And what was with that prank? I mean, he's what, 4 or 5 years older than her? And she was 15 and lifted up her dress at a wedding like that? That's fucking weird. Accomplished Emu says to OP, not the arsehole. If they can't stand the truth, they need to hibernate. I vote Grandpa walks her down the aisle regardless of who attends. OP says my sister isn't changing her mind. They aren't going to the wedding no matter what. She only invited them as she thought it was the right thing to do in the first place. So Granddad will be walking her no matter what. Aqua says not the arsehole. Your parents failed both of your siblings, and it's going to get worse when they realize your sister won't invite them to her events, and when they realize their son will become homeless after they pass. Honestly, I'm shocked your brother hasn't been arrested yet. Opie says he has, multiple times, for getting into fights when drunk. Nothing ever come of it though. Another commenter says not the arsehole. If both daughters have a problem with them and they've been told their son is the golden child, yet objectively doesn't have any attributes that can verify that he deserves that title, then the parents and the golden child are the problem. Pranks aren't ever funny. They're always mean at someone else's expense. If you ever speak with your parents again, ask them to name Mike's best attributes and most recent achievements or life goals. Then ask them to do the same with you and Kelly. They likely won't be able to give any for any of you, but you'll be able to list off those for you and Kelly, and then prove by comparison that Mike has none, and then you ask them the killer question. So, why if Kelly and me are out in the big wide world making waves and kicking ass, why do you not support us and cheer us on? Yet Mike does nothing except cause problems and leech off you and you support him. If you're going to go that far, I'd also ask if the Wills leave everything to Mike. OP says I'm 99% sure that Mike is getting the house as he will need it. They've already hinted at this, so I never thought I was going to get any inheritance. I know that to my parents my biggest attribute is that I've given them grandchildren. However, that's been wearing off the past few years as my kids don't like them, so they aren't getting the grandparents' experience they wanted. A commenter below that suggested look into this because under Scottish inheritance laws you cannot simply leave everything to the brother, or at least not without consequences. But one more commenter says good job for standing up to them. Keep supporting your sister. To me, you deserve to walk her down the aisle if you are not maid of honor already. She should just rescind your parents' invitations and the ones from every family member who agreed with your parents. I wish her a very happy life with Jake and 3 of your parents of both of you. ETA, not the arsehole. Edit maid of honor instead of man of honor. And OP says, I'm maid of honor so Granddad will be walking her. My parents are no longer invited. So it was 3 days after that post that OP came in with their first update and said, hi all. That post took off a lot more than I thought it would. There was way too many comments for me to respond to, but I tried to read every one of them. I was asked for an update, so here it is. There are a few things that came up repeatedly, so I'll address them first. The pranks only started after I'd left and gone to uni. He would say things to Kelly, and I would have a go back at him when we were younger, but it wasn't anything more than that until after I'd left home, so there wasn't anything I could really do to stop it. I did speak to our parents, but they're useless. Second thing was about my kids. I didn't bring my kids around them very much as they didn't like going to my parents' house. They said it was boring and they don't like Mike. However, after all the comments I got about this, I sat them down and asked them again. For my daughter, it really is just that she finds it boring and says that Mike is a weirdo. My son, however, said that he doesn't like being around my dad as he keeps trying to make him play rugby. I've heard these comments and told my dad to drop it, but he would still make the comments occasionally. I had no idea that it was upsetting my son though, so this surprised me. My son doesn't like sports, be it watching or playing. He's very much like his dad in that regard. He's a Pokemon kid, playing online and goes every Thursday evening to play in a tournament at our local card shop, so rugby is an absolute no-go for him. The third thing was about security at the wedding. I spoke to Kelly and Jake said that 2 of his groomsmen are police officers who are aware of the situation, so that won't be a problem. Lastly, there was a lot of comments about Mike being the golden child. For a bit more backstory, he wasn't really the favourite until his talent in rugby came to light. After that, he was special and had to be treated that way. I think he was seen as mum and dad's way of being special themselves within the family, as they had a super talented child. Anyway, today, I decided to sit down with my parents and tell them I needed a break from them. When I got there, my dad immediately wanted me to apologize to my mum, but I said that wasn't going to happen. There was a bit of back and forth between him and I, until my mum stepped in and asked why I was there if not to apologize. I told them that I'd spoken to Kelly and she didn't want them at the wedding at all, that they needed to stay away and respect her decision. They weren't happy but said they wouldn't go where they weren't wanted. I then told them I wanted space until the wedding as I couldn't keep being around them and keeping my mouth shut. I thought that space would be good for all of us. My mum wasn't happy and started on about seeing my kids. I told them the truth. My kids hated coming to their house and told my dad exactly why my son doesn't want to be around him. He got upset by this and said that rugby would be good for him. I shut that down and said I'm not going to force my son to do something he doesn't want to and something I know he will hate. I also told him that if I hear him mention it around my son again, that he won't see my son again. Right now, they will only be seeing my kids at family events, so I'm hoping that it won't be a problem. I then asked them what their long-term plan was with Mike. Are they going to keep things the way they are until 90 and Mum will still be making all his meals? What happens when they're gone? Who will look after him because it won't be me? What happens if they get ill? Who will look after them? Mike is incapable. Kelly lives down south and I plan on moving back to my husband's hometown 3 hours away once the kids have left home, so I can't do it. They just looked at me blankly. I really don't think they ever thought about any of that before. I told them that they had set Mike up to fail and now they needed to deal with it. I also told them that I knew that they were leaving everything to them in their will, but that with how they have babied Mike, he'd blow through that money in less than a year and then what? I could see the panic in my mum's eyes when I said that. She either hadn't thought about it or she thought I would look after him, which she now knows isn't going to happen. I also think she was shocked that I knew about their will. After me telling them what low contact with me was going to look like going forward and them not being happy about it, I left. Hopefully I've given them a lot to think about. I will check in with them from time to time, but that's all right now. I'm going to visit Kelly in the next couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. My extended family have also backed off after I sent them all a text saying if they were so concerned about my mum, they could have been her support system and deal with Mike the same way Kelly and I have had to for years. Not surprisingly, none of them wanted to. Otherwise, I'm just going to try and get on with things as normal. Thanks for the not the arsehole verdict and all the advice. It opened my eyes to a few things I'd been brushing off. So it was 3 months after that post, August 16th, 2025, Opie come in with a quick update. I said, quick update. Hi all, sorry I went missing in action, but I've been super busy. Not with this issue, but just with life in general. So Kelly got married last weekend and everything went without a hitch. Our parents and Mike didn't even try to attend, but I know that Mum did try and contact her a few times before the wedding via other family members. Kelly wasn't interested and made that clear by not responding and or threatening the family member that they would be uninvited as well. That put an end to it. Mike is still a drain on society according to a cousin of ours. I don't know firsthand as I've not been in contact with him at all. I've spoken to Mum and Dad once since the last post and they haven't changed, so I don't have the energy to deal with them. My kids don't miss them one bit either, so it's not been a problem keeping the kids away from them. Right now, I'm just going to get on with my life with my husband and kids. I've been talking to Kelly a lot more since all of this, which is a huge positive to come out of it. Sorry that there were no dramatic, like Mike and our parents trying to storm the wedding, but everything went smoothly. Thanks for all the comments and advice in my previous posts. Again, a bit over 3 months later from the previous update, November 27, 2025, Opie comes in with an update saying some progress. Hi all, I said I would update if anything changed and something has started to. I think my mum has finally woke up and seen the light when it comes to Mike. It was my son's birthday 2 weeks ago. My mum reached out to say she'd got him some presents. I was a little reluctant to accept the presents as in the past they've all been rugby based, but she promised that they weren't this time, so I let her come around to my house and give them to my son. Turns out my son is easily bought. Lol. A friend of my mum's has gone to Seoul on holiday in October, and my mum had asked her to bring back some Pokemon cards if she could find any. My son loves Asian Pokemon cards and has a whole separate binder just for them. She brought back 20 packs back for him. My mum also got him a Pokemon backpack and a teddy and a Funko Pop of his favorite Pokemon. She'd really put a lot of thought into what he likes and even gone to our local card shop and asked there about what to get him. Needless to say, my son was ecstatic. To me, this showed that she was really trying, and after that I agreed to meet her for lunch a few days later. She told me that her and my dad were fighting all the time because of Mike. She put her foot down and said that Mike needs to get a job and stick with it, and that she isn't going to give him any more money. My dad defended Mike, no surprise there, and said he just needed more time to find himself. This has led to loads of arguments, my mum going on strike. She isn't cooking for either my dad or Mike and isn't doing their washing or ironing. This is something she had done before when she is royally pissed off. She said that I was right when I told her that they weren't helping Mike by babying him and he needed to grow up. I was a little shocked by this, but very happy about it. I'm speaking to her regularly again and she seems to be adamant about Mike getting and keeping a job. I'm still a little reluctant to trust her fully as she could very easily go back to how she was before, but I'm calling this a little bit of progress. My dad still has his head up his ass though. No change there. Anyway, I had a spare 10 minutes and thought I'd keep you all updated. We'll see how Christmas goes and if my mum backs down, but fingers crossed she has turned a corner. Then another update came in, which was nearly 4 months later after the previous one, March 19th, 2026. And it said, I said that I would update after Christmas, but life got complicated. I found out I was 4 months pregnant in early January, which was definitely not on my bingo card, and I've been busy trying to get ready for our little boy's arrival. Kelly is doing great. She is super happy with Jake and is over the moon that she's getting to be an auntie again. I saw her over the new year when she stopped off on her way to Edinburgh, a Hogmanay, which was great. My mum stayed with her sister over Christmas and New Year as she needed a break from Mike and Dad, who went to Dad's parents. Dad is still fully enabling Mike, but Mum has really turned the corner. I think her nearly losing both her daughters and grandchildren got through to her, and she has realized that her and Dad have set Mike up to fail, as well as not being fair to us. She's trying to get Mike to get a job and be a productive member of society, but Dad is still giving him money and making his life as easy as possible, so Mike hasn't changed at all. This has led to Mum and Dad arguing constantly, so she decided to be away from them over Christmas, and when she went back, she moved into mine and Kelly's old room. She is still on strike, as she puts it, so isn't cooking, washing, cleaning, or really doing anything in the house. I don't know what will happen with Mum and Dad, but things can't stay like they are right now. I've been spending a lot of time with Mum. She's been coming around and making tea 3 to 4 times a week. Her cooking is amazing, so myself and my husband are not complaining. She's also ecstatic about another grandchild. She's been making a lot of effort with my son and daughter. My son trying to teach her how to play Pokemon is arguably the funniest thing I've ever seen. Me and my daughter couldn't stop laughing. She's also been spending time with my daughter, going to the cinema as my daughter's favorite thing to do. She wrote Kelly a letter apologizing for everything and had a long phone conversation in January. Kelly has gone from no contact with her to low contact, which is more than me or Mum thought would happen. Myself and Kelly are still in no contact with Dad and Mike. That's about everything. I think Dad is a lost cause, but I'm happy that Mum seems to have turned the corner. OP on giving her Mum some space or room in case Mum needs it. OP says she has a room at her sister's, which is 5 minutes away from me. She knows that if she wants to leave, then she can move in with her sister and would have my full support. My auntie's husband died a few years ago, so she lives alone, and I actually think she would love it if Mum moved in. I know that Mum probably will get some hate for the way this all went down originally, right? But I'm glad that she's finally turned the corner. You know, slowly and painfully, and maybe at the cost of her own marriage at the moment. He asking the friend to bring Pokemon cards back, it's very, very thoughtful. Writing her daughter a letter, which daughter absolutely deserved, of course. And this is a woman who's probably spent decades, enabling this behavior and is now changing it for herself, which is a good thing, in my opinion. And the sisters, the kids, the grandkids seem to be benefiting from it as well, which I think is a lovely thing. It's just a shame the dad wasn't on board as well. He seems to be still funding Mike, still defending him, and probably always will. It's going to be interesting to see how this one continues in the future. Is the mum and dad going to end up in a divorce on this? Is the dad finally going to turn the corner as well? Will Mike ever actually step up? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story was from the best of Redditor updates from Polly Off My Chest Throw, and says, my husband wants to go back to being monogamous instead of an open marriage, but I'm conflicted. And the update came 3 years later. Details: me, 43 female, my husband 42 male. We've been married for 19 years and have an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old. Earlier this year, my husband broached the topic of a non-monogamous marriage and asked what I thought. He proposed we give it a try. Before we had kids, we were really adventurous in our sex life. We never did an open marriage or swinging, but after considering it, I was game. I missed the adventure we had when we were younger. We set out rules. Use protection, not in our home because both our kids still live here, etc. I really enjoyed this so far. My husband has approached me again and said he wants to go back to monogamy. He said the person he had in mind when he broached the topic, a woman who has a membership at the same golf club as him, rejected his request for a date. He said he hasn't had any dates or partners and said he was jealous of my dates and boyfriend. The thing is, I'm conflicted. I love him, but I'm also enjoying this new aspect of my life and I haven't felt so good or enjoyed myself in a long time. He says he's jealous, but this was his idea and I'm not stopping him if he wants to date. But I'm conflicted because this could cause issues in my marriage. I recognize that could happen. The top commenter said to OP on this one, this is the reality most guys never consider when they think about taking their monogamous relationship, Polly. It's very possible that she's going to have more fun than you, and when she does, how are you going to handle it? Mountain Monitor says your marriage was already in trouble when he proposed it. He wanted it to benefit him and not you. Now that it's not benefiting him, he wants to close it. He doesn't care that it's benefiting you and never will. Next time he will make sure the person sleeps with him first. A commenter says, the classic, I'm attracted to this woman I see very often, so we absolutely need to open the marriage so I can fuck her. Leading to, actually my crush rejected me, and I only wanted to fuck this other woman I had feelings for, so now that it's not an option, I'm content with you and would like to stop seeing other people. This man takes you for granted and didn't realize you were a catch. Now that he sees it, he regrets his choices. Happens every single time. Whatever you do, you just know that he did this because he didn't realize how lucky he was to have you and didn't value you. And one more commenter says you need to decide what you prioritize more, your marriage or your newfound freedoms. There is no wrong answer here, but now that he has expressed his jealousy and dislike of the situation, you need to be aware that you choosing your newfound freedoms over your husband's wishes is also the nail in the coffin of your marriage. Big issues like this in a marriage take 2 yeses and 1 no, and either partner can change their minds like your husband has. I absolutely agree with you that your husband is acting unfairly and hypocritically, but you are wrong when you say this could cause issues in your marriage. The fact that it absolutely will cause you issues in your marriage if you refuse to close the marriage again, and it may still even if you do. So make the decision knowing that as a fact and do not delude yourself into thinking it may somehow work out and you have everything you want. The question really is, which do you want more? The OP did come in 3.5 years later and says, I forgot that I even made that post. I was only reminded of it because my email address was already tied to an account when I tried to sign up for Reddit. I completely forgot that I posted here. This update will be a short one. As of 18 days ago, we are no longer married. Back when I posted here, my ex-husband had wanted to close our marriage again, but I didn't want to. It caused a lot of problems for us. We were separated for the mandatory 2-year waiting period, although my husband kept trying to convince me to come back to a closed marriage during that time, even though he was the one who applied to dissolve our marriage. And after the separation period, he tried to delay the process at every turn. There was no way we could have remained married because he wanted to go back to a closed marriage and I didn't. I have to pay him maintenance for 1 year. I do not have to pay him any child maintenance. Both of our children go to university in Auckland now, though I'm still paying most of their expenses. I don't regret my marriage ending. My focus is on making sure my children have everything they need and living my life. Commenter said to OP after this, looking at your original post, you should have just separated when he asked originally since he had a person in mind. He didn't want ENM. He wanted to excuse his wandering eye guilt-free. Mike says this is the majority of the outcome when the husband suggests opening the marriage. The man wants to bang other chicks because he deserves it or is owed it. Quickly realizes that, sexually speaking, 40 plus women are more in demand than 40 plus men. Gets upset when the wife pulls more than he does and wants to walk it back. Bonus points for his dad bod, which his wife still found attractive. Isn't attractive to women he didn't have a child with. And we've seen a couple of those stories, where one partner already has someone in mind, so they come up with this whole let's open the relationship kind of thing, and it absolutely just blows up in their face. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for being involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.